Hey everybody, welcome back to our 100% playthrough of Super Mario RPG. Just as a reminder, this week's video is going to be a little bit different. We're trying to clean up some of those last few closing items, as it were, some of the extra content that we haven't done yet, the stuff I promised you guys I would do. Stuff like getting all of our team to level 30, getting 100 wins in Great Guys Look the Other Way game so that we can get the star egg, and doing 100 super jumps. Yeah, that's a thing that's happening this video, so brace yourselves for that. But in order to break up some of the monotony of that, because a lot of that is just repeating the same things over and over, and that doesn't seem like it would make for a very exciting video. So what we're doing today is, while you'll see me grinding those things out in the background of this video, I'm going to be answering questions that you guys have asked me. We're doing a little AMA today. But before we get into that, just so you guys are aware, the next video in this series, the one after this, will be the last one. That's when we'll beat Smithy, roll the credits. I'm sure I'll have some closing thoughts to give about it, about the game, that kind of thing. So this is the last call. If there's something you really want to see, or something you think that I haven't done, I can't really think of anything, but if you think there's something I haven't done, or something you still want to see, or something you still want to know, this is kind of your last chance to let me know. We'll get to that. I guess we'll start with the first question in the Ask Me Anything. I had somebody comment that they wanted to see me do a run of the Midas River where we get all 100 coins. I'm going to be honest, I'm not super interested in doing that. Maybe if I was playing the remake, because the remake actually keeps track of that, and there's a special entry in the little journal thing that tells you, hey, you did 100 coins, look at you, you've accomplished something. But here, the original game does not have any such mechanic, so there's not really much incentive for me to do it. I mean, I've already grinded out a bunch of stuff, as you'll see in this video, so grinding out the Midas River, I don't know, it doesn't really appeal to me, and I don't think it'd be that interesting to watch, so I'm sorry. Maybe if, I'm not ruling anything out in the future, so maybe I create a short guide video on how to do that, or something like that in the future. I don't know. It's not going to happen this playthrough, though. Sorry about that. Okay, next question. How are you doing, my guy? I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. So I have a job that is kind of seasonal in nature, where I have to work long overtime hours at different times of the year. But this is not one of those times, and there isn't going to be any until sometime next year. So the last couple months of the year, November, December, even somewhat into January, tend to be kind of smooth sailing for me. So, all things considered, I'm doing pretty well. Not under as much stress as I normally am at work. And, family is happy, healthy. Got no complaints about that. So I'm good. Are you in Canada? I am not. You should have known that, because I didn't stick in unnecessary "you" in the word favorite in the title of the last video. But no, I do not live in Canada. I visited Canada once, in the Vancouver area. Beautiful country. I love all the greenery, at least the place where I was at. I'm assuming all of Canada is green. It's just, I don't know if that's a stereotype, but that's just kind of how I imagine Canada, with big tall trees and plants and everywhere. I love that kind of area. So yeah, beautiful country. But no, I live in the United States. I don't want to dox myself. The internet is a weird place. So I'll simply say I live in the United States, and I live in the Pacific time zone. That's about as specific as I want to get with my location. How often do you play through this game? I don't play through this game that often, honestly. Besides this playthrough, the last time that I went all the way through this game was probably years ago. We're probably talking, 5 or 6 years ago. I used to play this game a lot more when I was a kid, but I used to play games in general a lot more when I was a kid. I would say up until my teenage years, I probably played through this game maybe once a year, hey, it was fun, and I've never been speedrunner quality at this game, but there does come a point where you're good enough at it, you can beat it, maybe in a day or two. So playing through it once a year, it wasn't really that tall of an order. But nowadays, I just don't have the time for that, and I'm not sure I'd really want to anyway. I love this game to death, but there are only so many ways you can play it and have it still be unique. One issue I've talked about before is the difficulty, or lack thereof, that this game has, where there's some interesting mechanics in the game. There's timing mechanics to really push you to do the best that you can in the game. Different allies you can swap in and out of battle to take advantage of certain strengths and weaknesses. But the base game is easy enough that you never really have to do that. There's not really an incentive to do that. You can just say, yeah, Gino's cool, I'll just stick him on my team, even though he doesn't have any healing or any elemental attacks. Again, you don't really need him. So there's this lack of incentive to play the game in a different way. So it kind of makes me not want to replay this game that often. That's something that I've tried to rectify through ROM hacks, especially Super Koopa. Sorry, this wouldn't be one of my videos if I didn't plug a ROM hack that I made. You're just going to have to deal with that. Of course, if you're watching this video in general, you know what you're getting yourself into, and you're probably here to hear me rant and rave about stuff. So, thanks for coming in. But good question. I don't play this game that often anymore. I do own the remake, of course, because it's the remake. I've played through that a couple of times at this point. I played it when it first came out, and then earlier this year, my daughter requested that I play through it. She wanted to watch me play through it, because she really likes Mallow. So I played through it. If you count those 2 times playing through the remake, and then this time around playing through the game again, I've played it 3 times within about a year. Well, a little over a year. So, but it's the most I've played it in a long time. That leads us well into our next question. Any chance that we'll see you do the remake? Again, I'm not going to say no to anything at this point. I'm leaving my options open in the future. I will say the remake in general is pretty darn close to the original. There's some extra post-game content, of course, but the game itself is pretty well one-for-one with the Super Nintendo version, just with a graphical update. So I'm not sure I would want to do that anytime soon, because again, from a viewer standpoint, you're still watching the same game, you're just watching me play through it again with a new coat of paint. I've mentioned this on the channel before, but although Super Mario RPG content is definitely my specialty, I don't want that to be the only thing that I do, because there's only so much you can do with that and have it still be interesting. And even the ROM hacks that I've been playing over the last few months, we're starting to run low on those too. So, yeah, the remake might happen in the future. I might do a playthrough of that, but probably not anytime soon. But we'll see. Again, not ruling anything out. Of course, if I did do the remake, if I did 100% playthrough of the remake, you'd get to see... I guess I would have to do the Midas River 100 coin run, which I've never done before. I honestly didn't know that was a thing until the remake came out and made it a thing. But I guess it makes sense. Alright, do you have any other games/hobbies that interest you as much as this one? And would you also consider doing a walkthrough/let's play of them? Yeah, there are other games out there that I like. I've always said that anything I do on this channel, it has to be a combination of something that I want to do and something that you guys want to see. So I gotta find something that marries those two concepts. But as far as any other games, I of course love the first couple of Paper Mario games. Some of the classics like Chrono Trigger, the Zelda franchise I love, the Fire Emblem franchise I love. And I would be happy to do Let's Plays of any of those. But, not to be negative, but I'm just not sure how many people would actually watch me do Let's Plays of them. As it is right now, these videos, this series that you're watching right now, it's not getting a ton of views. I am grateful for the people who watch it, don't get me wrong, and I like interacting with you guys in the comments and whatnot, but just comparing the views on these videos compared to, say, my other videos where I just talk about fun facts about the game or information you didn't know, the gap in viewer count is pretty huge. I don't think that many people are watching my walkthroughs altogether, and I think that it's probably safe to say that a good chunk of the people who are watching this walkthrough are watching it because it's Super Mario RPG, because it's a game that I specifically know a lot about, and I can talk about as I'm playing through it. There are definitely other games that I would enjoy doing playthroughs of, but I wouldn't be as knowledgeable about them, if that makes sense. So I wouldn't be able to tell you, I think in this series, just about every video in the series has had something that I've talked about that maybe the average person doesn't know and hasn't heard before. I'm not sure I'd be able to do that for any other series. So really, me doing a playthrough of another game, people wouldn't be watching it for the fun facts, for the lesser known information. They'd be watching it just because they want to see me do something. And although I like to think that I'm interesting enough that people would do that, I don't think as many people would do that for a game that's not something like Super Mario RPG that I know a lot about. But again, I'm not ruling anything out in the future. I've actually, as far as Let's Plays go, I have been leaning toward doing a playthrough of Paper Mario for Nintendo 64, doing a 100% run through of that. I know some stuff about the game, just not a whole lot, but that game's a lot of fun, and I think the stuff I want to do on this channel, I'm decent at video games, but I'm not like super instant reaction time guy, with platformers and shooting games and stuff like that. My reaction time's not what it used to be when I was a teenager and I was playing video games every day. So, you watch me fail a lot. So something like this game, or even Paper Mario, where it's a game that's not too hard, and it's more of an RPG adventure type game, I think that works much better for what this channel does. So if I were to do more Let's Plays in the future, it'd probably be something like that. Probably one of the things I mentioned already, like Paper Mario, or Chrono Trigger, or, even Zelda, I guess. That's not really a slow-paced RPG type game, but the Zelda games are generally easy enough that I think I could play through them and talk and not die repeatedly. I think I'm good enough at those. I've noticed you don't swear in your videos or streams. Is it because you're afraid of YouTube's censorship? No, I am not afraid of YouTube's censorship. But yeah, I don't really swear, I guess. I don't really swear in real life, as it were, either. And I think the reason for that is just because I never got in the habit of doing it. Okay, so let me rant at you for a minute. Again, if you're watching this video, this is probably the content you're here for, is the ranting. But I was always kind of a hyper-aware, self-aware kid, if that makes sense. Like, painfully aware of my own existence. I still am. It's a little better now that I'm an adult, but, don't get me wrong, I still have those anxious anxiety moments. But as a kid, I just kind of felt like the world was staring at me, and as part of that, I just felt like I was never a cool kid. As silly as that sounds. I mean, again, kids are stupid, and I'm certainly no exception. But just hear me out, giving you some background here. But I always thought that I was an uncool kid, and I thought that all kids were uncool, frankly. Just by virtue of being a kid, you can't be a kid and be cool. That's just those two things don't go together. Children aren't cool. That's not how that works. At least that's how I thought of that. That's how I thought as a kid. But there comes an age, maybe 9, 10, 11, whatever it is, where kids start really caring about being cool. Kids want to appear cool, even though they're not. And one of the top ways where kids try to make themselves seem cool is to seem more mature. And by doing that, they'll swear, because swearing is a grown-up thing, So kids will start swearing at that age, and for me, the harder a kid tried to be cool, the less cool they looked. So you'd see, I'd see some 10-year-old friend of mine on the playground start swearing up a storm, and just hearing a 10-year-old with their high-pitched voice drop an F-bomb, it screams to me, I'm trying so hard to be cool, and gosh, it's not working. So to me, hearing a kid swear, it just moved you further away from being cool. So I just never swore, because I didn't like the sound of it. So I just never got in the habit of swearing. So even now, as an adult, I don't swear. Even to this day, if I hear somebody else swear, like if I'm watching a movie or something and there's a scene with high tension and somebody drops the F-bomb at somebody else, my mind instantly goes to, oh, look at you trying so hard to be cool and edgy. I can't take it seriously. I can't take swearing seriously anymore. So because of that, I just don't swear. It's just not something I've ever gotten in the habit of doing. If you didn't specialize in Super Mario RPG, what game would you make content about? I don't know if there is any one game in particular that I would make content about. Let me think about that. I don't know. I don't think I would do any one game in particular. I think I would do it... Well, actually, you guys should check out my other channel. I'll probably include that in the description of this video. But I have a second channel that I'm starting up called The Cooler Nino. It's a Fire Emblem channel. But that's not about one game in the series. That's about the Fire Emblem series in general. So that'll be multiple games spanning the franchise. So I guess that's an answer to your question. If I didn't hitch my wagon to Super Mario RPG, I'd probably focus on Fire Emblem full time. I wouldn't exactly call Fire Emblem a niche franchise anymore. I think it was at one point in time, but I think it's considered one of Nintendo's kind of main franchises at this point. I mean, it's no Mario or Zelda, but it's definitely up there, Maybe in the same tier as something like Pikmin in terms of how much Nintendo cares about it. So, yeah, I mean, that's probably what I would deal more with. As for how I got to Super Mario RPG instead of Fire Emblem, there's another question that I'll answer later on, so you'll hear more about that in the future. And by the future, I mean like closer toward the end of this video. Do you think the economy in this version of the Mushroom Kingdom is doing alright? I have a hard time imagining any economy doing well when you can beat up random enemies to get coins. Although I suppose you can do that in real life if you're not a coward. But seriously, I don't know if the economy is doing well. That's not really something you hear about in Mario games. You don't really see any like homeless people or anything. Although I have to imagine that a lot of the people who join Bowser's Koopa Troop are probably citizens who have fallen on hard times, and they just need a place to stay, need their 3 meals a day. And Bowser's Koopa Troop is the way that they get that. So maybe at the end of the day, the economy is not doing well. It could be that Princess Toadstool, she discriminates against anybody that's not a toad. I mean, you look at the Mushroom Kingdom, it's toads that own all the houses, right? Croco, the thief, he has resorted to a life of crime because he can't afford a house. Poor guy. Stealing people's wallets, breaking into Nimbus Land even, to try to find treasure. You have to wonder what's going on there. Princess Toadstool, maybe she's not as kind and generous as she would have us believe. What is your opinion on the Paper Mario series? In general, I'll say my opinion on the Paper Mario series is probably pretty basic, I'm not gonna lie. I'm one of those people. I love the first two. Super Paper Mario was good, but not exactly what I was expecting. And any of them past that, I'm not really interested in. For me, Paper Mario, I didn't really know what Paper Mario was when it first came out. I mean, I was a kid when the Nintendo 64 was a thing, and I didn't have the savviness to really do any research on games that came out. So for me, a lot of the games that I played as a kid, I happened to see a commercial for it on Nickelodeon or whatever I was watching, or I happened to have a friend who owns the game, so I was able to see the game and see if I wanted to buy it or not. Paper Mario was kind of weird. I kind of went into that one blind. I remember it was, I think it was Christmas, the year that Paper Mario came out, and I didn't really know what Paper Mario was, other than I saw it in a catalog around Christmas time. And I thought, okay, well, it's Mario. I like Mario games, and I'm not really sure what else I want for Christmas this year. So, sure, let's get this. And my parents ended up getting it for me for Christmas. I mean, Santa ended up getting it for me for Christmas. I really hope no kids watch this video. Anyway, I got it for Christmas. I played it, fell in love with it. I think the first Paper Mario is a great game. The Paper Mario was such a great game that when the 1,000-Year Door came out, it was a day one buy for me. I heard the game was coming out, and it was just, I don't need to do any homework on this. I don't need to do any research on it. It's got the Paper Mario label. I'm going to love it. So I asked my parents to get me that for my birthday or whatever it was that year. And again, a great game. You know, the older I get, I used to think the 1,000-Year Door was the superior game, but the older I get, the more I find myself coming back to the first Paper Mario as the better game. And they're both great games, but I think the first one edges out these days for me. But then, when Super Paper Mario came out, it was the same story. It was, okay, Paper Mario, I know I'm gonna love it, so let's get it. And then I got it, and you know, it plays a lot differently than the first two do. It's a fun game in its own right, but I can also see why people who are familiar with the Paper Mario franchise were disappointed in it. It seemed like Super Paper Mario could have worked as a different franchise, I guess. I'm one of those people who would have preferred the kind of battle system and style of the first two Paper Mario games. But again, say Super Paper Mario is not a bad game, but it did teach me a lesson that just because it has the same label as previous games doesn't mean it plays like them. So if another Paper Mario game comes out in the future, I guess I gotta do some homework to see if it's actually worth getting. And of course, that's when the Paper Mario franchise started going downhill. I never actually played any of the Paper Marios past that. The biggest reason for that is because I didn't have a Nintendo DS until like years after it was relevant. So when Paper Mario Sticker Star came out, it wasn't even a question of, ooh, should I get this or should I not? It was, I don't even have a DS, so this is kind of a non-starter in the first place. But I still did homework on it. I still researched what the game was like to see if people liked it. And as it turns out, everybody hated it. And I've read a number of posts, seen a number of videos over the years where people talk about Sticker Star and what they don't like about it. And honestly, it's good enough for me to not ever really have any interest in playing it. So, Sticker Star, Color Splash, even Origami King, I've never played and I'm not really interested in playing. So, To answer the question, the Paper Mario series started out strong and it's kind of gone downhill in my book. Like I said, I think a lot of people share that opinion, but hey, you asked. Best kind of cake. You know, I'm not really that much of a cake guy. I never really have been. I guess if I had to pick a type of cake, I would cheat and say ice cream cake. I don't know. Cake for me is just... It's not really that interesting. I don't know how else to say that, but it's... For me, it's like the cake, the actual cake, like the bready material of a cake, tends to be kind of bland, but then the frosting tends to be too sweet on most cakes that I have. So it's just, I don't really like cake all the way around. Frosting is too sweet, cake itself is not sweet enough if I'm really looking for a dessert. So, yeah, ice cream cake is my choice, if that's an option. As for the flavor of ice cream cake, it can really be anything. I tend to prefer, for the cake part of things, I tend to prefer a vanilla over anything else. I think vanilla is versatile and delicious. But for the ice cream itself, I mean, I'd really be happy with anything. I enjoy ice cream. Best kind of pie. How did we get two dessert questions back to back? Anyway, pie. I like a good fruit pie. You know, strawberries are one of my go-tos. I also find crust to be kind of boring. To me, crust is kind of the worst part of pie, honestly. So I like the type of pie where, sure, you've got a crust on the bottom, but that it's open-faced on the top. You know, there's no top crust. But yeah, fruit pies like strawberry, apple are pretty good. I love a good pecan pie if it's made correctly. Oh, going back to the cake question. If cheesecake counts, I'll do that one too. But yeah, back to the pie. I like a good chocolate pie, of course. To me, what really can make or break the pie is the crust. I like it when, like I've made desserts in my life before, and usually what I'll do if I'm making a pie is I'll make the crust some kind of fancy crust, like whether it's made from graham crackers or like Oreo crumbs or something like that. You gotta do something to make it good from start to finish. Normal crust just tastes boring. You can fight me on that if you really want to. Are you and the wife planning on having any more little Axems? I don't know about that one, honestly. I mean, we did just have number 2 earlier this year. As of the time of this recording, he's about 6 months old, give or take. So it still feels a little fresh to be thinking of doing this all over again, having another kid. But, I don't know, I think we'll probably be done with the 2. I mean, I'm an open book about a lot of things, but when you start involving my family, it gets a little tougher to answer questions. So I'll just say there were some medical complications with both kids, with my wife. The first kid, she had a rough time, and the second kid, she had an even rougher time. So I think she would probably be fine, but just for safety purposes, I don't think we'd do any more kids at this point. And, I mean, sorry to be cagey, but I don't want to get too far into that when we're talking about my wife's privacy at that point. So, yeah, probably just stop at the 2, honestly. Have you ever done 100 super jumps before this playthrough series? I have done 100 super jumps, legitimately, once in my life before this playthrough. It was when I was a teenager. So I had a friend back in my school days. I will not say his name to protect the innocent. But he also had Super Mario RPG, and we just got to talking about it one day. And, you know, we had mentioned, yeah, doing the 100 super jumps thing is super hard. I've never done it before. He hadn't done it before. So I just decided, okay, I'm going to go home and do this. I'm going to do 100 super jumps for the first time. And I went home and I did it. It it took several, I think it took a couple hours of practicing, but I finally did get 100. I got the super suit, and I texted him, hey, I finally did it. I can't say that I haven't done it anymore. I've done everything there is to do in Super Mario RPG. And yeah, I don't know. It wasn't even like a dare or anything where he was like, yeah, I dare you to do this, or you think you're so good at this game, why don't you go do it? It was just casual conversation of, I guess I've never done this. Maybe I'll give it a try and see. So yeah, I've done it once before, and that was about half of my life ago. I've done 30 jumps a number of times to get the attack scarf, but even that can be kind of touch and go. For whatever reason, I can usually get into the 30s or 40s when doing these, but I kind of crash out sometime after that. That's been consistent across my whole life, so I don't know what that says about me. But, I mean, you're seeing it in this playthrough. I'm doing 100 super jumps again. So I guess at this rate, I'll do it in another, well, I guess it depends. If it's linear, I'll do it in another 17 years, so when I'm in my early 50s. Or maybe this is an exponential thing. It's doubling every time, 17 years to 34 years. So when I'm 68, I'll do the next one. Who knows? Time will tell. Who's your favorite Smithy Gang member? I would like to think this one is pretty obvious. It's Bowyer. No, I'm kidding. Of course it's the Axem Rangers. I thought their whole Power Ranger shtick was funny and ridiculous ever since I first started playing this game. I mean, do they count, I guess? If you're asking me who my favorite Smithy Gang member is, I would assume you know the Axem Rangers would be my favorite. So maybe you're looking for, like, my favorite besides them? Which, if that's the case, I'd probably go with Yaridovich, because he's the one that you see kind of do the most. He manages to take over an entire town. He convinces you to give up your star piece for him. All of that. I would have liked to see more interaction between the Smithy Gang members. Like Yaridovich, when he's running away from you, he wants the Blade to show up to take him away, but the Blade is late, so that doesn't end up happening. It would have been nice to see the Axem Rangers and Yaridovich interacting with each other, but alas, it was not to be. Why don't you show your face on camera? Well, here's the thing. I'm ridiculously handsome, and I would hate for my good looks to detract from the content. I don't want the stream to be, or the stream or the videos to be about how attractive I am. I want it to be about the game, you know? It's about integrity. Okay, I'm kidding. But no, the real reason why I don't show my face on camera is because as a viewer, when I'm watching other YouTubers and streamers, for me, seeing the person's face doesn't do anything for me. I mean, it's not that I think you're ugly and I don't want to see your face. It's just seeing your face does not add anything to the content for me. If I'm watching gameplay, I want to see you play the game. I don't want to see you, I want to see you play the game. And of course, I want to hear your thoughts about the game as you go along. And I don't need to see your face to do any of that. My favorite streamers, my favorite YouTubers that I tend to watch are people like that who play the game. They'll talk to themselves and to chat if it's a live thing, but they don't show their faces. And I guess I'm emulating that, where it's seeing somebody's face doesn't really add anything to the viewer experience for me. Why would I want to show my face when I'm letting other people view me? It just, I don't really see the point. And besides that, I feel like it can be, for me anyway, it would be kind of a distraction for me playing. Guys, remember what I said in one of the earlier questions about me being anxious and hyper aware of myself? If I had the camera on while I was playing something, I think I could get distracted by, oh, what face am I making right now? Do my clothes look okay? Am I making a weird face? Do I have a zit on my face right now? Are people staring at me? I think I would get distracted from the gameplay by having my camera on. So just all around, I don't really see much point in doing that. Maybe I'm too old school. I think the the new age way of doing YouTube and streaming is to have your face on there, but I guess there's a reason why my demographics say it's 30-something-year-olds that watch all of my stuff, because you guys are like-minded fellow old people. So thanks for watching. What was the first party you used to beat Smithy? Oh, I remember this one. My first party was Mario, Toadstool, and Bowser. So for me, Toadstool was the one that could heal the team, and back when I was a kid and didn't really know how to play the game, it was pretty much just to have Toadstool heal every turn. And then Bowser, I don't know what it was about Bowser. I just always thought Bowser was cool. You know, hey, he's the main villain in Mario games, and he's on your team now. I guess I gotta use him. It's kind of it's funny looking back on that, because that's actually kind of lame. I'm not using any of the OCs. I'm not using Geno or Mallow. I'm just using the same basic trio that there always has been in Mario games. But yeah, that's the first party I beat the game with. How did you get into Super Mario RPG ROM hacking? Why that game as opposed to any other? Let me tell you a story. So back in the day, back when I was in high school, probably a freshman in high school, I think, I didn't really know what things like ROM hacks and emulators and ROMs and patches and all that was. I had never heard of any of that before. But I was talking to a friend of mine about great games, great video games, and we got on the subject of Earthbound. Now, Earthbound, of course, I'm sure a lot of you know, Earthbound is a very hard to find game these days. They didn't sell that many copies of it back in the day, so it's hard to find an actual cartridge of it. So this friend of mine told me what an emulator was, and helped me to find a ROM of said game, of Earthbound. So I got to experience it for the first time, and it was a lot of fun. And I was thinking, wow, you can find games for free online if you know where to look. Although I should say I do own an actual Earthbound cartridge now. Checkmate, Nintendo's lawyers. But I wondered, what other things can you find online if you can find ROMs and stuff like that? So then, the next thing that I had looked for, and again my friend had kind of helped me with this, was to find a translation patch for Fire Emblem 6. So I was one of those people, if you're familiar with the Fire Emblem franchise, the first one released overseas, outside of Japan, was Fire Emblem 7. That's my first foray into the series. And he told me that 7 was actually a prequel to 6, but 6 was only released in Japan. So he helped me find it, and find the translation patch for it, and another great game that I would have missed out on if it wasn't for the power of the internet. So that kind of dipped my feet into the world of things like ROMs and patches. So from there, I started looking at other things. And I had discovered... what was it? I had discovered... in looking for that patch of Fire Emblem 6, I had discovered that somebody was working on a ROM hack of Fire Emblem 7 called Tactics Universe, which you may know now as The Last Promise. That was for the Fire Emblem franchise, the Fire Emblem series. That was the progenitor ROM hack. That was the first one with any real meat to it. But I looked into that hack and thought, wow, this is amazing. I wonder if I could ever make anything like this. So I started poking around the internet looking for ROM hacks and tutorials and programs to use, and I found a few different ones. There was the Fire Emblem, the Game Boy Advance trio of Fire Emblem had some editing tools. There were multiple tools, and they didn't really speak to each other, as it were. So if you wanted to make a full-length game, you had to use at least 3 different editors, and then probably throw some hex editing on top of that, which, being new to programming, being new to this scene in general, that was just kind of a non-starter for me. It was just, I don't know what any of this means. I don't know how to hex edit. I don't know what to do here. So I poked around a bit with Fire Emblem editing, but I actually started a hack. I just never finished it though. It was pretty basic. And then in other things that I found, I eventually found a Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past editor. It's called Hyrule Magic, but that one ended up being pretty buggy. I tried doing some map editing with that one, and every time I would edit it, some random bugs, some random glitches would happen and make the ROM unusable. And after asking around, it turns out that was pretty normal at the time. Everyone said, yeah, Hyrule Magic kind of sucks because it's going to break your game, but it's the best that we've got right now. So I thought about doing A Link to the Past one, but I never got through it. I think there's better tools now for both Fire Emblem and A Link to the Past, but I just, never got back into it. But then, one of the hacks that I found was one of those short demo hacks. I think I played that on my channel when I was doing the those short one-off ROM hacks with stuff like the Bob-omb Mafia and Orefazeps. I found one of those, and I discovered Super Mario RPG ROM hacking and this tool called Lazy Shell. Now, Lazy Shell, when I found it, it was still in development and still in its infancy, but even then, with all of its bugs and glitches, it was still way more approachable than ROM hacking tools for any other game I had discovered up to that point. So that's when I started getting to work and exploring, what it is, started tinkering around with it a little bit, started participating on the message board for the program, that kind of thing. So really, how I got into Super Mario RPG ROM hacking, it was a combination of just right place and right time, I guess, where I was looking into hacking a few different games, but just at that time in the world, Super Mario RPG had the best editor that was out there. And I don't know, the rest, as they say, is history. This leads nicely into our next question, though. Do you want to make ROM hacks of anything besides Super Mario RPG? Maybe. I had an idea for A Link to the Past hack and a Fire Emblem 7 hack that, given infinite time and the ability to work at them at my leisure, I'd love to revisit those and make something pretty cool. But as of now, I don't know if I really have any time to do anything else like that. I mean, between work and spending time with my family and the stuff I do for this channel, the Super Mario RPG ROM hacks that I make, that I have ideas for, I just don't know if I'd ever really have the time to hack anything else. But if I did, it would probably be those things, A Link to the Past or Fire Emblem. What's the most relatable moment in video game history? I would say, as a parent, life hits you different when you're a parent, let me tell you. The scene that hits me the most, I guess relatable is a good word for that. There's that scene in Majora's Mask when Goron Link is trying to help the Goron kid get to sleep. He's crying because his dad's not there. That scene gets me for a couple reasons. One, there's the dad's part of thing, where the dad journeys out into the snow, knowing that he's got no chance of saving his city, but that he has to try, because nobody else is going to try, and he has to save his kid. And he has that moment where he sees Goron Link and thinks, oh, you're just a ghost, you're a figment of my imagination. And then when Link tells him, your son is really upset because he misses you, the elder just kind of freezes and says, okay, whether you're dead or a ghost or a figment of my imagination, I don't care anymore, but please help my son. And then he teaches him that lullaby to help the kid go to sleep. As a parent, that really hits me hard, where it's just, I care about my kids, and if I have to send a ghost to go help them, then so be it. I will help my kids. They're the most important thing in the world. And then the other half of that, probably honestly the more relatable part of it, is when Goron Link plays the song and the kid finally does go to sleep, Link does this great move where he kind of drops his shoulders in relief, and you can't hear him sigh, but it's really easy to imagine him sighing. Just, oh, the kid's finally asleep. Oh, okay, finally. That's another highly relatable parent moment. The kid has been fussy all day, but thank goodness he's finally asleep. What's your favorite part of ROM hacking? My favorite part would probably be seeing how it all comes together. I mean, I've made a couple of full-length hacks. There's the Axem Rangers and Super Koopa RPG. This may sound silly, but seeing that the game is fun is probably my favorite part of it. Just let me explain that a bit. So with Super Koopa RPG, as I was nearing the end of it, I was putting on the last finishing touches. I was doing some last-minute balancing of stats, and I was fixing some glitches and stuff like that. I had played through the game a number of times to test it, and there came a point kind of toward the end of it, at the end of the testing, where I realized I'm still enjoying playing through this game, even though I've played through it a few times already. This game is fun. I like this game. This is a game that I would play over and over again, and I have. And that was a really great feeling, to feel like my vision is coming to pass. I'm seeing this completed product, and it's fun. I'm enjoying it. This is a good time. This is a good game. And, I mean, of course, that's the goal of ROM hacking in general, but that was a feeling that I never really had with my Axem Rangers hack. I know I've talked to death about that one before, where it's just, I used earlier versions of Lazy Shell, the ROM got so bugged, there wasn't much I could edit by the time the game was done, so it's got bugs, it's got issues, but there's no way for me to fix them, because the ROM is essentially corrupt at this point. But that feeling of, wow, this has all come together really well, and it is fun. That's not something that I had experienced before Super Koopa. So that's definitely my favorite part of it. It's just that realization of, wow, this turned out good. I am happy with this. This is fun. And that's what made me want to do it again. Alright, I think that'll do it. That's enough questions for this video. We'll call it here. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing me rant and rave. Thanks for coming to my podcast. Just as a reminder, last minute announcements. I mentioned this as part of one of the other questions, but I have my other channel, my other YouTube channel, The Cooler Nino, the Fire Emblem dedicated channel. That's going live pretty soon here. So if you like Fire Emblem content, you should check that out. If you just like me in general, I will also stream from that channel one night a week, looking like Fridays for now. So if you want to hear more of me, you should check that out. Hope to see you there. As for this series, The next video is going to be the last one. It'll be the one where we defeat Smithy, we roll the credits, and we all have a good old time. I will have a poll up on the channel to determine who my team should be that I fight Smithy with. It'll probably just be, you know, I let everybody vote on 4 characters. Whichever 2 characters get the most votes are the ones I use. It's a fun way to send things off, right? But other than that, again, this coming video will be the last one, so if there's something you still haven't seen yet that you want me to do, you think I missed something, please let me know. But until then, thanks for watching. See you next time.